Now, my pleasure to be sharing this afternoon session for a young woman, Hilda Flavia Nakabuye, who is effectively the kind of heritage we want. From a young age, Hilda has witnessed the detrimental impacts of climate change on her community and environment, sparking a profound commitment to environmental conservation. This early exposure to the environmental challenges faced by the country, Uganda, and her region instilled in her a strong sense of duty to protect the planet for future generations. Hilda is a prominent Ugandan climate and environmental rights activist. She's a fierce advocate for gender equality and racial diversity within the climate emergency movement. Understanding the climate crisis transcends borders, Hilda has dedicated herself to empowering women and underrepresented groups to join the fight against climate change. Hilda founded the Uganda chapter of Fridays for Future, a global climate strike movement in her pursuit of environmental justice. Through this platform, she has organized numerous impactful demonstrations, mobilizing youth across Uganda, Africa, and the world to demand urgent policy reforms to mitigate the climate emergency. Her influence has extended well beyond Uganda, and she has become a pivotal figure in the global climate discourse, delivering powerful speeches at significant international events, including the United Nations Climate Change Conference, COP, and inspiring ICOM's board members at the ICOM General Assembly in Prague in 2022, which led to her invitation to join us today. Prominent media outlets have widely covered her compelling advocacy, amplifying her message of urgency and action to a global audience. Her activism highlights the importance of diversity in the climate movement. She has consistently spoken out about the need for greater inclusion, stating that the climate change debate is not exclusive to any one demographic. Her advocacy for diversity seeks to ensure that voices of people from all backgrounds, but especially those most affected by climate change, and especially youth, I should say, are heard and valued. Now, beyond organizing protests, Hilda is deeply committed to environmental education and grassroots empowerment. She believes in the transformative power of knowledge and works tirelessly to educate individuals about the impact of climate change and the importance of climate stewardship. Through workshops, seminars, community outreach, and initiatives, she inspires people to become proactive agents of change within their own communities. So I think this gives you some sense of the wonderful opportunity we have to listen to her this afternoon. And I hope that we will have the opportunity to have some excellent discussion with her following her presentation. And I promise that we will ensure that we have covered all the bases by the time you effectively reach the end of this session and before we move on to the next. But for now, it's my special pleasure to welcome Hilda to the podium to deliver her keynote address. Hilda, please, you're welcome.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Hi. That's the spirit. Okay. I don't know if I'm a good storyteller, but I want to tell a story today, and you will tell me after all this if I'm doing or not, and I'll have to improve. So, during my childhood, I observed the impacts of climate change in my home when the rainfalls intensified to the extent that the streets were submerged, rendering roads impassable, and I was unable to journey to school. My father and grandmother reassured me, stating, "This rainfall will subside and conditions will return to their usual state." However, nearly 3 days later, we encountered similar intense rainfalls, resulting in my absence from school once again. I remember my grandmother vocalizing her thoughts, questioning what we had done to deserve this weather's curse. And as a child, I was overcome with fear about the plight my family was facing. This I had never seen before. Our farm, which was our only source of income, was washed down by the rains. And for us to survive, my grandmother had to sell off our animals and our land until only our house remained. I missed months of schooling because of climate change, and my parents couldn't afford my tuition fees, so I had to sit home for months while other kids went to school. We were not cursed, and we are not cursed. And with each every passing year, the intensity of these rainstorms escalated. Even as I speak, they escalate, leading to widespread flooding. And these weather patterns have also impacted the dry season. We have prolonged periods of droughts that have rendered our land parched and sweltering, depleting water sources in space and causing our crops to wither. I come from a country whose past was glorious, the present is created, and the future is yet to be defined by action we take today and moving forward. I come from a country which has vast rainforests, birds flying, wildlife, waterfalls, among other fascinating flora and fauna. Tourists from developed countries visit frequently to watch, and many of them call my country the Pearl of Africa. My country, Uganda, is found in the east of Africa. It is one of the poorest countries, very vulnerable to the impacts of climate change, but with resources that continue to develop the already developed countries. I come from a country with diverse culture and traditions. My country has over 50 plus languages, but thanks to colonialism, we were made to speak one language, English, so other languages can be forgotten. To me, forgetting my language is giving up on my culture and my roots. I come from the Buganda culture, and in my culture, we have clans, and every clan has a totem, and each totem has its beliefs and norms. These clans are differentiated on an animal basis, such as cow clan, lion clan, monkey clan, and so on. I come from the Engeye clan. Engeye is the calabash monkey. I don't know if you've seen it before, but it's very beautiful. One of the norms from my clan is that you are not supposed to eat your clan, but rather take care of it. And this was done to preserve nature because you must love and honor your clan and totem. You cannot hurt what you love, we always tell ourselves, but rather treasure it. And that is how preservation, conservation, and sustainability is practiced in my culture. Other norms include not marrying from the same clan to promote diversity, and places such as forests, lakes, mountains were highly respected and would only be visited during certain times to allow restoration. But this is not the case anymore. We had a story that every time when it was midday, you wouldn't visit the stream because the gods will eat you. But this was to encourage restoration. So 20 years back, having a tree in every family's compound was a norm because our ancestors taught us that traditional gods lived in these trees and many people respected the trees not to cut them down, which is not the case anymore. We need to promote indigenous knowledge by bringing back such practices. As I speak, investors are clearing our forests for sugarcane plantations and oil transportation in the name of development. Oil giant Total Energies is yet to host a 1,443-kilometer long pipeline, the world's longest heated oil pipeline, which will put major national parks, wetlands, rivers, and lakes at risk because a third of this pipeline will be built on Lake Victoria water basin. Lake Victoria is the second biggest freshwater body in the world, and it's a source of water and livelihoods for up to 40 million people. An estimated 34.3 million metric tons of carbon will be produced by the pipeline every year, and this ridiculously undermines our efforts of reducing carbon emissions to combat climate change. I am here to speak for the large groups of Eastern chimpanzees and African elephants who have nowhere to go because their habitat is being severely affected by this pipeline. I'm here to speak for the dying women and children in Uganda suffering climate change-induced hunger. We should not wait for these animals to die so as to post their pictures, collect their bones, or preserve their dead bodies in chemicals for generations to see. We have the time to act now, to protect the life around us. Let's do it selflessly and unconditionally. The climate crisis was not caused by countries like mine, but countries like the US, France, UK, Germany, and the like. The climate crisis is here, and we need to act now. It was caused by burning fossil fuels from global north companies such as Total Energies, BP, Chevron, Shell, and the like. We can't have sustainable museums on a breaking planet. We can't have social justice without climate justice, and vice versa, because they are interconnected. Without the planet, there can't be museums, and that's why we need each other in this climate fight. The global north developed at the expense of nature and human life, and unfortunately, it's still doing so. As we are still fighting for climate justice, more suffering is inflicted on us. More climate injustices are committed by the very countries that claim to be fighting for peace. The anguish we experience stems from a framework that is rooted in inequity, a framework that draws resources from our planet to enrich affluent nations, disregarding the welfare of all individuals in the global south. We are here today to celebrate, learn about culture, tradition, and our roots. It's in culture that history is created. Imagine how much we could achieve if history is shared equally. We can't talk about sustainability and forget the future. The future belongs to us, the youth, because we have a long life ahead of us, and youth constitute the biggest percentage of the population. So we cannot achieve sustainability with half of the population left on the sidelines. Youth must be given seats at the table because youth inclusion is very vital if we want to achieve sustainability. Museums have a big responsibility of preserving the past, educating the present, and shaping the future. Many people refer to museums as buildings of artifacts. I believe that they are more than that. Museums help to preserve and promote our culture heritage. They are our roots and they are not just buildings. Museums should be more practical and visual. They should be more dynamic in their operation to allow participation and involvement of the general public. They should tell both sides of the stories behind the display because to insist on one side of the story is to overlook the many other stories that formed us. Museums should not only serve as monuments to preservation, but conservation too. Museums should have a new responsibility of consciousness when it comes to their impact on the environment. How often do we check the impact of our carbon footprint, energy usage, infrastructure, or waste management? Museums are being washed away by floods and landslides in Africa because they can't raise a budget for relocation. But a UK-based museum's waste management budget can help preserve history in Africa. To achieve sustainability, we need to change our mindset. We need to act now. We need to lead the change. Carter O'Brien was a sustainability officer at the Field Museum. One initiative he sees as hugely valuable uses ionized water to clean the acres of display glass inside the museum, which completely eliminated the need for chemical cleaners. It reduced environmental impact and improved air quality for visitors. I come from a farmer's village in the basin of Lake Victoria. When I gained understanding of climate change at university, I established Fridays for Future Uganda. It's an organization of young individuals who are wary of hollow commitments and refuse to idly observe as our prospects are eroded by rainfall or as our chances of survival are being swept and evaporated under the scorching sun. As young climate activists, we march for climate justice on streets, create awareness in schools and public spaces. We clean water bodies and communities as well as train fellow activists and influence policies both on a local and a global level. They say actions speak louder than words. This is what we do.
Just keep it in the ground. Just keep it in the ground. Just keep it in the ground. We are unstoppable. Another world is possible. We are unstoppable. Another world is possible. We are unstoppable. And so are we. The oceans are rising. And so are we. The oceans are rising. And so are we. The oceans are rising. And so are we. What do we want? Climate justice. When do we want it? Now.
Those are some of the actions that we do. I challenge you to lead an action in your community and mobilize other people to join you. It could be a dinner about natural history museums, an awareness campaign, including youth in museum spaces, museum and climate change storytelling, among others. I am not promising a pain-free process or a smooth journey, but I'm promising hope. We hold on to the hope of a clean, safe, and sustainable future we so much long for. Challenges will come, but they will never shut us down. We need love to heal the earth. We need love. We need to love our roots and our culture to be able to sustainably protect and preserve them for generations. Thank you.